If anything ever happens to me, know that I didn't just walk away." Those words, recalled later by Kelsey Berreth's family, would haunt them forever. It was Thanksgiving Day, 2018, in Woodland Park, Colorado. The mountain town, lined with pine trees and dusted with snow, was alive with families gathering around dinner tables. Children's laughter spilled out from warm homes, but at Kelsey Berreth's condo, silence hung in the air. Her phone stopped ringing. Her text messages went unanswered, and somewhere between a grocery store run and what should have been a quiet night at home, the young mother vanished. At first, police hoped she had left voluntarily, maybe stress, maybe distance, but as days turned to weeks, suspicion grew. The truth that would surface shocked an entire nation, because Kelsey's disappearance wasn't simply about a missing woman. It was about betrayal, about a secret, and about a man who wanted the woman he once promised, forever, gone forever. Kelsey Berreth was not supposed to be a headline. Born on September 15, 1989, in Clifton, Idaho, she was the youngest of two children. Raised by Cheryl and Daryl Berreth, Kelsey grew up with the values of small-town resilience. Friends described her as soft-spoken, polite, and kind, the type of person who always looked for the good in others. Her brother Clint would later say that she was the one who kept their family together, a quiet force of determination who succeeded without needing the spotlight. From a young age, Kelsey dreamed of flying. While her peers talked about careers in classrooms and offices, she looked to the sky. She wanted to be a pilot, and she made it happen. By her mid-20s, Kelsey had secured a position as a flight instructor at Doss Aviation in Pueblo, Colorado. Her students admired her calm patience in the cockpit. She wasn't the type to snap or scold. She guided with steady assurance, always focused on helping others succeed. A coworker remembered that her whole face lit up when she talked about flying. It wasn't just a job for her, it was passion. But her proudest role wasn't in the sky. It was on the ground. In 2016, Kelsey became a mother, welcoming a baby girl who would become the center of her world. To her family, it was as if she had stepped fully into the life she had always wanted, a balance of career and motherhood, independence and family. Her mother Cheryl described her as a natural, someone who loved being a mom and made every decision with her daughter in mind. By 2018, Kelsey had moved to Woodland Park, a scenic mountain town nestled against Pikes Peak. The town, with a population of just over 7,000, was picturesque, safe, and the perfect place to raise her child. Her neighbors described her as friendly but private. She worked, she cared for her daughter, and she kept close ties with her family in Idaho. To outsiders, her life looked stable, quiet, normal. But while Kelsey was building her dreams, she was also tied to a relationship that would destroy them. She had met Patrick Frazee in 2016. Frazee, a cattle rancher from nearby Florissant, was rugged and came from a well-known family in the area. On paper, he seemed dependable, hard-working, the kind of man who valued family. For Kelsey, who wanted to settle down and build a life for her daughter, Frazee seemed like the right fit. The two began dating, and soon after, they became engaged. To Kelsey, it felt like a promise of permanence, a future together. But friends noticed things that didn't sit right. Frazee was controlling. He often kept Kelsey at a distance from his family. He never integrated her fully into his life on the ranch. While she had her own condo in Woodland Park, Frazee continued to live separately in Florissant. This wasn't a partnership of equals. It was fragmented, disconnected. One friend later recalled that Kelsey seemed stressed around him, that he never seemed supportive. Her mother testified that she sometimes saw her daughter walking on eggshells around him, but Kelsey, ever hopeful, believed things could get better. She believed in commitment. She believed in giving people the benefit of the doubt, and most importantly, she believed in keeping her family together for the sake of her child. What she couldn't have known was that Frazee was living a double life, one built on lies and manipulation, and on a dark plan that would end in violence. By late 2018, cracks in the relationship had become fault lines. Frazee questioned Kelsey's decisions and criticized her independence. He saw their daughter not as a shared joy, but as leverage, a way to control Kelsey's every move. At the same time, another woman lingered in the background, Crystal Lee Kenny, a nurse from Idaho and Frazee's on-again, off-again lover of over a decade. Frazee wove her into his plan in chilling detail. He asked her 3 separate times to murder Kelsey. He suggested poisoning her coffee, ambushing her in her home, using a blunt weapon. Each time, Kenny refused. "I didn't want to do it," she later confessed to investigators. "I couldn't. But I also didn't stop him. I didn't tell anyone. And that's something I'll regret for the rest of my life." Her refusals didn't deter Frazee. They emboldened him. By Thanksgiving, the clock was ticking. On November 22, 2018, Thanksgiving morning, surveillance cameras captured Kelsey entering a Safeway grocery store with her daughter. She bought a pie for the holiday. Smiling, carrying her child, she walked back to her car. That would be the last public sighting of her alive. Later that morning, Frazee picked up their daughter from her condo. He lured Kelsey into her living room, telling her to close her eyes for a surprise. He placed scented candles in her hands, and then, with a baseball bat, he struck her from behind, over and over. Kelsey collapsed, her life ending just feet from where her baby had taken her first steps. Frazee placed her body in a black tote bag and hid it in a barn on his ranch. Later, he burned it in a metal trough, smoke billowing into the cold mountain air. Meanwhile, he called Kenny. He told her to clean up. Kenny drove 12 hours from Idaho. When she entered Kelsey's condo, what she saw was haunting. Blood everywhere, on the floor, on toys, on bathroom tiles. She spent hours scrubbing with bleach, but she couldn't erase it all. Crime scene investigators would later uncover microscopic traces illuminated with luminol, DNA embedded in wood grain, blood spatter patterns on walls, silent proof of what had happened there. While Frazee was erasing evidence, Kelsey Berreth grew alarmed. Her daughter wasn't answering calls. By November 25th, Cheryl drove 700 miles from Idaho to Colorado. At the condo, she found Kelsey's purse and keys still inside. But Kelsey was gone. Cheryl reported her missing. The Woodland Park police launched an investigation immediately. Flyers went up. News outlets spread the story. Frazee played the role of the concerned fiancé, suggesting that Kelsey had left voluntarily. Investigators weren't convinced. Cell phone data revealed that Kelsey's phone had pinged near Gooding, Idaho, 3 days after she disappeared. It wasn't a coincidence. It was where Kenny lived. By December, the pressure mounted. Frazee's phone records placed him at Kelsey's condo. Surveillance contradicted his alibis. And eventually, Kenny confessed. She admitted to cleaning up, to disposing of the phone, to knowing about Frazee's plan all along. On December 21, 2018, Patrick Frazee was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, solicitation to commit murder, and tampering with a body. The trial began on October 28, 2019. The courtroom was packed. Prosecutors painted Kelsey as a devoted mother with no reason to vanish. They presented the forensic evidence DNA matched to Kelsey, luminol glowing across her condo. Witnesses testified to unusual bonfires on Frazee's ranch. The most pivotal moment came when Kenny took the stand. For hours, she described Frazee's plan, his manipulations, and the aftermath. She recalled scrubbing blood from baby toys, watching him burn the body in a trough. "He stood there, stoking the fire," she said. "I could see the smoke. I could smell it," he told me. "That's as close to hell as you're ever gonna get." The jury recoiled. Frazee's defense argued that Kenny was unreliable, a scorned lover protecting herself. They emphasized the lack of a body. They suggested Kenny could have been the killer. But the forensic trail was undeniable. After just 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned its verdict guilty of first-degree murder, guilty of solicitation, guilty of tampering. Patrick Frazee was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 156 years. He showed no emotion, no remorse. As for Crystal Lee Kenny, she pled guilty to evidence tampering. She was sentenced to 3 years, later reduced to 18 months on appeal. Many argued it was far too light for someone who had helped cover up such brutality. but her testimony secured Frazee's conviction. The trial ended, but the grief did not. Kelsey's little girl, too young to understand, would grow up without her mother. Custody was awarded to Cheryl and Daryl, who took her back to Idaho. Every milestone reminded them of Kelsey. Every smile from their granddaughter was both a comfort and a reminder of what was lost. Cheryl said, "Every time I look at her, I see Kelsey. Her smile, her laugh. She deserves to grow up knowing who her mother was, not just how she died." In Woodland Park, candlelight vigils honored her memory. Across the country, her story raised awareness about domestic violence. Advocates reminded the public that abuse doesn't always look like bruises. Sometimes it looks like manipulation, isolation, secrets. Sometimes silence can be deadly. Cheryl turned her grief into advocacy, speaking at events to urge others to see the signs and act. "I couldn't save my daughter," she said, "but maybe her story can save someone else's." To those who knew her, Kelsey is remembered not for her death, but for her life. Her love of flying, her gentle patience as a teacher, her laughter, the way she adored her daughter. Her brother Clint said it best. Kelsey wasn't the kind of person to make enemies. She wanted peace, she wanted family, she wanted to live quietly, and she deserved that. She didn't deserve this ending. Every year on her birthday, her family gathers in Idaho. They release lanterns into the sky, each one carrying a message of love. Each one a symbol that though her life was cut short, her light endures. Kelsey's story is about trust broken, about secrets demanded, and about the terrible price she paid for refusing to keep them. But it is also about resilience, about a family who refused to let her name fade, about a community that stood together in grief and in hope. If you or someone you know is experiencing controlling or abusive behavior, please know you are not alone. In the United States, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Kelsey's story is a reminder that behind every headline is a human life, a daughter, a sister, a mother, and while Patrick Frazee will spend the rest of his life behind bars, Kelsey's legacy is not defined by what he took from her, but by the love she gave in her 29 years. What do you think about this case? Do you believe justice was truly served? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you found Kelsey's story powerful, please like this video, subscribe for more true crime documentaries, and help us keep these stories alive. Because remembering the victims, not just the crimes, is how we honor their lives, and how we make sure their light still shines,